welcome back to Kilmeade and Friends. Senator Lindsey Graham has been very loyal to our show. We really appreciate it. Senator Graham's in town. He comes upstairs. One of the great things about being on Fox News, get a lot of very important people coming through. Congress back in session, Senator. Welcome back.
Go hide.
Well, on tap, one of the first things is this new Republican Congress going to vote to fully finance Homeland Security in an effort to stop this executive order of the president's? Right. Before the court ruled, they said, your Republicans came up with an idea, let's not fund Homeland Security, that portion of it.
Right.
But you don't have the votes in the Senate to pass that.
There you go. You need 60 votes to bring the bill up for debate. We can't get Democrats to allow us to vote on the House bill.
Did you try?
3 times. The House bill has a provision that funds the Department of Homeland Security except that portion that would enforce the executive order. I understand where the House is coming from. I think the executive order is unconstitutional. A federal judge in Texas ruled as such. We can't get Democrats to allow us to bring the House bill up. So here's what I think we should do. Given the threats to the homeland, and they're growing by the day, we should pass a Department of Homeland Security funding bill and put all of our energies behind supporting the court case.
So the court case right now stands. So this whole order stands banning the president from allowing these people to become instant citizens.
Right.
Now, the president's having legal maneuvers himself to try to get rid of that order and try to supersede it.
Yeah, he's trying to remove the stay. The judge put a stay on implementing the executive order, which was good. It's going up to be appealed now in an expeditious manner, which is good. So I think we should take advantage of this opportunity to file a friend of the court brief where every Republican supports the judge's ruling and allow it to go up all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary.
Senator Graham, you're thinking about running for president, and conservatives says that's giving in, and that's not showing the stick-to-itiveness that they want to stop the president.
Well, the President of the United States' main obligation is to be commander-in-chief, defend the homeland. To anybody who believes that our homeland is not at threat, then you're not watching the same movie I am. You had the Department of Homeland Security Secretary suggest maybe you should be careful going to the Mall of America. There are more terrorist organizations with more safe haven, with more money, with more weapons, and more desire to attack the homeland than any time before 9/11. To defund the Department of Homeland Security would expose this country to unnecessary risk. We can handle the executive order debate in court. You can't take radical Islam to court.
One of my main concerns, what's happening with Iran and these talks. The reports that are coming out that the president will not extend the deadline again and that they're really hitting some rough spots make me believe that perhaps this thing will fall apart because you cannot trust the Iranians and you're allowing them to use their centrifuges and enrich uranium. Right away, you gave away the House to start the negotiations. What do you hear?
I'm very disturbed about the outlines of the deal that they've put on the table. The goal of negotiating with Iran was to take their nuclear ambitions and dismantle them, allow them a nuclear power program for peaceful purposes with no enrichment capability. Today, the goal of the negotiations is to lock in place an enrichment capability that would take a year for them to get a weapon. Look how far we've gone from our original goal to where we are today. This is North Korea in the making. So here's what I'm proposing. Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee and myself have legislation that would require any deal negotiated with the Iranians regarding their nuclear program to be approved by the Congress before it's binding.
But my problem is, I would love to see a Menendez on there. I would love to see a Democrat co-sponsoring so it doesn't look like Republicans don't like the president again.
Well, this is about Congress exercising some review authority over lifting the sanctions that we created. Under the Atomic Energy Act, Section 123, on 24 different occasions, Congress has approved nuclear power agreements between the United States and foreign countries, such as Canada. I can't imagine us wanting to have a say about a deal with Canada and no say about Iran, and we're the ones who created the sanctions. The congressional sanctions should not be relieved unless Congress agrees. That is a backstop to a bad deal. We will introduce the bill Wednesday. Hopefully it will be bipartisan.
Are you going to, in this session, get an AUMF for the president, get congressional support, essentially, for his war effort against ISIS?
I think it will doomed to fail. I think libertarians and liberals will come together to restrict the ground component.
Libertarians and liberals?
Yes. I think they will form an alliance with Democrats and libertarians on our side to put restrictions restrictions on the ground component that I could not support. I want to win. I want to degrade and destroy ISIL. That means you have to put everything on the table, including American ground forces. And I believe the Congress will micromanage the authorization to use military force to make it almost impossible for our military to win.
Will the president respond by pulling our troops out and say, hey, Congress doesn't support me, therefore I can't fight this war?
The president's job it is to defend the nation. Bush is no longer president. Mr. President, Barack Obama, this is your war. You're the one who decided to pull all troops out of Iraq and turn down the advice of your national security team to take a side out 3 years ago when you could. You've created this problem. ISIL is a direct result of the vacuum created in Iraq and Syria by your bad policy choices. Mr. President, I am glad to hear that you're willing to consider a larger American ground component. To your listeners, the one thing I want to do is keep the war over there, Brian, so it doesn't come here. I'm not going to outsource American security to Arab armies who are incapable of winning the fight without our assistance. It is our fight, too. ISIL wants to hit us as much as anybody else.
When did you first start thinking about running for president?
After the primary.
After the South Carolina primary where you won it?
Yeah. For 3 years, Senator McCain and myself have been talking about this is not working. Leading from behind is putting the world at risk and our nation at risk. President Obama will not call radical Islam radical Islam. That's a huge mistake. The president of Egypt understands it's radical Islam. The president of the United States is presiding over the dismantling of our military at a time we need it the most. And quite frankly, I want to offer my voice on the Republican side to get us back to the belief that we're an exceptional nation, that radical Islam is a threat to our homeland, our way of life, and to rally the nation and the world to take these guys on before it's too late.
And now a lot of people say, hey, you got about 12 to 14 Republican candidates. You've said to me before, on and off camera and microphone, you like these guys. I like the people, but what do you offer that they don't?
I think the next time you go into the booth and vote for President of the United States, remember the primary job of the president above all else is to defend the nation and to be commander-in-chief. I think I have the experience and the judgment and the background, and I've spent the time on the ground throughout the world to understand who our friends are and who our enemies are. And I have a very clear vision of how this mess came about and how to stop it.
What did you learn from being so close to John McCain during his run?
That principle matters, that never give up, put the country ahead of yourself. Even if the war is unpopular, if you think we have to win it, stick to it.
Right. And when will you decide?
In the next month or so. I do well in South Carolina, just went to Iowa, and when I mentioned the threats we face from radical Islam, Iran with a nuclear weapon, the rise of ISIL, and the times in which we live, trying to find a way to solve the $18 trillion national debt problem, people listen. I really do believe that I have a message and a voice that needs to be part of the mix in 2016. If I can find a pathway forward in Iowa and New Hampshire, I'll take a risk and throw my name into the ring.
Would you put your name in the ring and see how you do, or would you do your pre-polling in order to decide whether you go in?
I'm going to look at, is there a lane for national security? Do people support the idea of boots on the ground as if it's necessary? Does my voice resonate with a Republican primary voter about how to fix immigration, about how to defend the nation against radical Islam?
It's going to be tough to beat you when it comes to national security. I think everybody knows that, Democrat and Republican. Senator Lindsey Graham, thanks so much. Always appreciate your time, quality time behind the microphone.